Then he sent Sri Paramananda Puri to go and talk to him because he was a senior devotee and he was close to Lord Chaitanya. But when he went, Lord Chaitanya, Hare Krishna. Am I audible, Mataji? Hello?
Yes, Mataji, please.
Yeah, okay. So Sri Paramananda Puri had gone there to meet Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya respected him and made him sit beside him. But then when he brought up this topic, he did not agree.
Right.
So he said, give me permission, I'm going to Alarnath. So I'll wait there, only Gopinda will come with me. So up to that only. And then again, Paramananda Puri tried to pacify me. He made him sit beside him. But he did not, Chaitanya went off.
Right.
So he was not willing to hear.
Right. So, Junior Haridas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't actually see him talk to Madhavi Devi, but he got to know that he was talking to Madhavi
Yeah,
Devi.
okay. He didn't see him, huh? He just heard.
No, he asked that where did the rice come from, and then that's how he found out that he had gone. Then he asked that who went to get the rice, and then he's told that Chota Haridas had gone, and so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu finds out that he had gone and he had taken the rice, and then he says that I will not meet him, I'll not see him, and then thank you, Mataji. Thank you for summarizing it. So, devotees are actually very compassionate and they are feeling that, his offense is not such a big one. And they are all trying to plead to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. First, they try themselves, then they call Paramanand Puri because he's more senior. And in this way, they are all trying to pacify Lord Chaitanya into forgiving Chota Haridas. But we see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very, very determined. So today we'll read further and we'll try hopefully because the verses that are now going to follow, not many have purports. It's mostly just the shloka and the translation. So we'll try to read a little faster and try to complete this chapter today. And any doubts that we may be having that why this is happening, why Lord Chaitanya is being so strict and why is he not forgiving him, we'll see that in the last verse, the purport, Srila Prabhupada very nicely explains all the learnings from this pastime of Lord Chaitanya. Okay, so we'll because there are mainly shloka and translations, so what we can do is that, one devotee can read at a time 5 verses so that it'll go a little faster. Okay, so when you start, you read 5 verses with translations and we'll discuss them in one go. And in this way, we'll try to complete this chapter today. Okay, so Uma Devi Mataji, you can start with 136.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, you can go till 140, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Okay. लोकहित लागी तुम्हारा सब व्यवहारा अमी सब न जानी गंभीरा हृदय तुम्हारा. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All your activities are for the benefit of people in general. We cannot understand them, for your intentions are deep and grave. 137. एता बली पुरी गोसानी गेला निज स्थाने हरिदास स्थाने गेला सभा भक्त गणे. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. After saying this, Paramananda Puri Gosani left for his own home. Then all the devotees went to see Junior Haridasa. 138. स्वरूप गोसानी कहे सुन हरिदासा सबे तुम्हारा हित वंची करा Vishwasa. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Swarupa Damodara Goswami said, please hear us, Haridasa, for we all wish you well. Please believe this. 139. Prabhu hate padiyache stavantra Ishvara Kabu
Swatantra Ishvara
Bina Yate Dayalu Antara. प्रभु हते पदियाचे स्तवंत्र विश्वरा कभु कृपा करिबे ना यते दयालु अंतरा. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. At present, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is persisting in his mood of anger because he is the independent Supreme Personality of Godhead. At some time, however, he will surely be merciful, for at heart he is very kind. 140. Tumi hata kaile ta badi be The Lord is persisting, and if you are also persist, his persistence will increase. It is better for you to bathe and take prasadam. In due course, his anger will automatically subside. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. So the devotees, they are understanding that Lord Chaitanya is not going to change his decision, and so they go to Junior Haridas and tell him that Mahaprabhu is angry at this point. After some time, his anger will definitely subside. So if you also do hatha, that means you also persist, then his persistence, his hatha will increase. So it is better that now you take bath and you take prasadam because he had not eaten, right? So they are telling him that you take prasad, you take a bath, take prasad, and gradually Mahaprabhu's anger will subside. So that's what the devotees are telling to Junior Haridas. Yeah, Sudha Mataji, 141
Hare
to
Krishna.
145. Mataji. Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Pranam.
Pranam.
Tirtha bali tare snana bhojan karana आपन भावना आइला तारे ashwasya. Translation by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Having said this, Swarupa Damodar Goswami induced Haridasa to bathe and take prasadam. After thus reassuring him, he returned home. 142. Prabhu yadi yana Jagannatha darshane दूरे रही हरिदासा करे न दर्शने. Translation by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to see Lord Jagannath in the temple, Haridasa would stay a long distance away and see him. Text 143. Mahaprabhu Kripa Sindhu Kepa Re Bhujite Priya Bhakti Danda Karena Dharma Bhujahite. Translation by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the ocean of mercy. Who can understand him? When he chastises his dear devotees, he certainly does so to re-establish the principles of religion or duty. Purport. Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura says in this connection that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the ocean of mercy, chastised Junior Haridasa. Although Junior Haridasa was his dear devotee, to establish that one in the devotional life engaged in pure devotional service should not be a hypocrite. For a person engaged in devotional service in the renounced order, having intimate relationships with a woman is certainly hypocrisy. This chastisement was given to Junior Haridasa as an example to future Sahajiyas who might adopt the dress of the renounced order to imitate Rupa Goswami and other bona fide sannyasis, but secretly have illicit connections with women. To teach such men, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised his dear devotee Haridasa for a slight deviation from the regulative principles. Srimati Madhavi Devi was a highly elevated devotee. Therefore, approaching her to ask for some rice to serve Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was certainly not very offensive. Nevertheless, just to preserve the regulative principles for the future, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu enforced the hard and fast rule that no one in the renounced order should intimately mix with women. Had Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu not chastised Junior Haridasa for this slight deviation, so-called devotees of the Lord would have exploited the example of Junior Haridasa to continue the habit of illicit connections with women. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the teacher of the entire world, and therefore he enforced this exemplary punishment to establish that illicit sexual connections are never allowed by Vaishnava philosophy. This was his purpose in chastising Junior Haridasa. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in fact the most magnanimous incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he strictly prohibited illicit sex. Text 144. देखी त्रास उपजिला Sabha Bhakta Gane Swapne Hacha Lila Sabe Stri Sambhashane. Translation by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. After all the devotees saw this example, a mentality of fear grew among them. Therefore, they all stopped talking with women even in dreams. Purport by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada ki Jai. In connection with Sri Sambhashana, talking with women, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that talking with women for the purpose of mingling with them for sense gratification, subtle or gross, is strictly prohibited. Chanakya Pandita, the great moral instructor, says, Matra vat vareshu. Thus, not only a person in the renounced order or one engaged in devotional service, but everyone should avoid mingling with women. One should consider another's wife his mother. Text 145. Yei matte hari dasera ekavatsara gela tabu mahaprabhura mane prasada na gela. Translation by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. In this way, a complete year passed for Junior Haridasa, but still there was not a sign of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy towards him. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So in these verses, we see that the devotees, especially Sarup Damodar Goswami, is inducing Chota Haridas that you take a bath and take prasadam. And everyone is reassuring him and they're telling him that gradually Mahaprabhu's anger will come down, he will be pacified. And then we see that when Mahaprabhu used to go take darshan of Lord Jagannath, Haridas, Junior Haridas would stay a long distance away and see him. So he would not come near Mahaprabhu. He's just honoring what Mahaprabhu had asked. And then we are reading in this next verse 143 that, how can we understand this? When he chastises his dear devotees, there is a very important reason, that is the establishment of the principles of religion or duty. And Lord Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, they choose someone who is actually very close to them, a very close associate, through whom they can give this lesson for others. Now, here in this purport, we are reading, Prabhupada is writing that Madhvi Devi was actually, she was a very, she was an elderly lady. Here and the other purports, we are reading this. So just asking her for some rice, this was not actually such a big offense, but this very act of talking to a woman, alone, this is something which is not allowed, and Mahaprabhu had to make this very strong statement so that people don't take advantage of this particular action of Junior Haridas, and then they go on doing all kinds of illicit activities while calling themselves Vaishnavas. So that's what Prabhupada is saying, that this chastisement was given to Junior Haridas and as an example to future Sahajiyas. Sahajiyas are people who take bhakti very sahaj. They take it very cheaply. They say, they think that okay, we just need to have bhav and otherwise all these things are allowed, and they don't really follow the principles strictly. So it is for these people to make a very strong statement to them that it is not correct that you imitate to be in the renounced order, but you continue to have illicit connections with women. So, to teach such men, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised his dear devotee Haridas for a slight deviation from the regulative principles. Madhvi Devi was actually a very elevated devotee, so it was not such a big mistake on the part of Junior Haridas, but to preach that such behavior is not allowed for Vaishnavas, it is strictly not allowed. That's why Mahaprabhu has done this. So this was his purpose in chastising Junior Haridas. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually is the most merciful, right? He is the most magnanimous incarnation of the Supreme Lord. But he is very strictly prohibiting illicit sex, any kind of illicit relations. And so he's using this as a very as an example for people in the future to understand that how strict Mahaprabhu is about these things. Then we see in 144 that seeing this, other devotees, they got really, really scared and they stopped talking with women even in dreams. So it was actually benefiting everyone else, because someone else could have, who was not so strong in bhakti, they could have gone and actually made a mistake if they had not learned this lesson, seeing what happened to Junior Haridas. So for their protection also, this pastime has been enacted. And then we read in 145 that 1 full year passed, but still Mahaprabhu had not forgiven Junior Haridas. Okay, so now let's go to 146 onwards.
But Mataji, this one minute, Mataji, this this Srimati Madhavi, she was elderly age, Mataji, and Haridas was much younger, Junior Haridas. So for that also offended. I mean, he didn't like it, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If it was same age, even you can think, but there was a big difference in age. And you just went to take
Mataji, but Prabhupada would not even speak to his own sister, Mataji. So we have to understand how strict the sannyas order regulations are. And here, like Prabhupada is saying that this was not such a big mistake because Madhvi Devi was elderly and very elevated devotee herself. And Haridas, Junior Haridas was a dear associate. But this particular interaction, people could just take this, misunderstand, and think that it is allowed for someone in the renounced order to go and talk to a lady. They would not see that what is the age, what is her social standing, what is her position. They would just see this is as, a deviation from the principle. And if Mahaprabhu allows it in one instance, then others would also go mingling with ladies. They could have, the people who are sahajiyas who want to take advantage of this, they could have done that. So that's why Mahaprabhu is nipping this in the bud itself, even though there is a big age difference, even though they are both very elevated devotees, still this interaction between man and women was not allowed for someone in renounced order. So it was not allowed irrespective of the age. Right? So that's why Mahaprabhu
okay,
is.
Mataji. Yeah, okay, thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, so, Mataji, you can read.
Yeah, yes, Mataji, yes. Ratri aveshe prabhure dandavatana prayagete gela kareha kichuna baliya. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thus, at the end of one night, Junior Haridas, after offering Chaitanya Mahaprabhu his respectful obeisances, departed from Prayaga without saying anything to anyone. 147. Prabhupada prapti lagi sankalpa karila triveni pravesha kari prana chadila. Junior Haridas, translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Junior Haridas had conclusively decided to attain shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thus he entered deep into the water at Triveni, the confluence of Ganges and Yamuna at Prayag, and in this way he gave up his life. Oh, so sad. 148. Lila Prabhu Kripapana Antardhani Rahila. Translation. Immediately after committing suicide, he went Sorry, Mataji, I got disconnected. Immediately after committing suicide in this way, he went in his spiritual body to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and received the mercy of the Lord. However, he still remained invisible. 149. Gandharve Dehagana Karena Antardhana Dane Ratreya Prabhura Sunaya Gita Anya Nahe Jane. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. In a spiritual body resembling that of a Gandharva, Junior Haridasa, although invisible, would sing at night for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to hear. No one but the Lord, however, knew of this. 150. Ekadina Mahaprabhu Puchila Bhakta Gane Haridasa Kaha Tare Anha Ekhane. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. One day Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired from the devotees, "Where is Haridasa? Now you may bring him here." Thank you, Mataji. Have I finished?
So, in this section, we have read that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu still was not forgiving him. So, he offered obeisances to Mahaprabhu and he went to Prayag. Junior Haridas went to Prayag, and there in the Triveni, where all the three rivers, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, meet at Prayag, he enters the water and gives up his life. So, a very a strong step that he takes. But the pastime doesn't end here. We may think that this is a very sad end. Yes, it is very sad what we read, but then there is something very, very deep that is happening even after even after him giving up his body. What happens is that in his spiritual body, he goes to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he does receive the mercy of the Lord. He is still invisible. Nobody is able to see him, but in his spiritual body, which it is mentioned that it resembles that of a Gandharva, in that invisible spiritual body, he sings for Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Gandharva Lok is the lok where, the Gandharvas stay. They are very good at singing and in instruments and all that. So his body is resembling that of a Gandharva and he sings for Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu is hearing this. Only Mahaprabhu knows this, nobody else knows. But externally, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then he asks the devotees that where is Haridas? Now bring him here. So now let's read the next section, 151 onwards. Swati Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
सबे कहे हरिदासा वर्षा पूर्ण धीने रात्रे ऊती कान्हा गेला केहा नहीं जाने. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The devotees all replied, one night at the end of full year, Junior Haridas got up and went away. No one knows where he has gone. Shuni paha Prabhu isat asiya rahila sabha bhakta gana mane vismaya aila. While hearing the devotees lament, translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. While hearing the devotees lament, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was mildly smiling. Thus all the devotees were very much astonished. ಏಕದಿನ ಜಗದಾನಂದ ಸ್ವರೂಪ ಗೋವಿಂದ ಕಾಶೀಶ್ವರ ಶಂಕರ ದಾಮೋದರ ಮುಕುಂದ ಸಮುದ್ರ ಸ್ನಾನೆ गेला साबे शूने खातो धूरे हरिदास घायेना येना डाकी कंठस्वरे. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One day, Jagadananda Swarupa, Govinda, Kashishwara, Shankara, Damodara, and Mukunda all went to bathe in the sea. They could hear Haridas singing from a distant place as if calling them in his original voice. मनुष्य न देखे मधुर गीत मात्रे सुने गोविंदादि सभे मेली कैला अनुमाने. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. No one could see him, but they could hear him singing in a sweet voice. Therefore, all devotees headed by Govinda made this guess. Thank you, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. So Mahaprabhu asks externally now because he wants to establish what has happened externally also. Mahaprabhu knows what has happened. Mahaprabhu, he has also given his mercy to the spiritual body of Junior Haridas. But he asks the devotees, where is he? Bring him now. And so they say that on one night he just got up and went away. We don't know where he has gone. And the devotees are feeling sad, but Mahaprabhu is smiling because Mahaprabhu knows that he's there with him. And then one day, all these devotees, Jagadanand Pandit, Swarup Damodar Goswami, Govinda, Kashishwara Pandit, Shankara, Damodar, Mukunda, they all went to bathe in the sea and they hear from a distant place, they hear the voice of Junior Haridas as if he's calling them in his original voice. And no one could see him, but they were able to hear his sweet voice. So then they start guessing that what would have happened. And that comes in the next section. Shobha Mataji, 156
Hare
onwards.
Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Mataji, Krishna Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. Text 156. Visha adi khana haridasa atmagata kaila sei pape jani brahma rakshasa haila. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Haridasa must have committed suicide by drinking poison, and because of this sinful act, he has now become a Brahmana ghost. 157. आकारा नाधे की मात्रा सुनी थारा गाना, स्वरूप कहे ना यही नित्या अनुमाना. Translation: We cannot see his material form, they said, but still we hear his speech singing. Therefore, he must have become a ghost. Purport: Swarupa however, protested this is a false guess. Text 158. अजन्म कृष्ण कीर्तना प्रभुर सेवना प्रभु कृपा पत्र आरा क्षेत्रेरा मारना. Translation: Junior Haridasa chanted the Hare Krishna mantra throughout his entire life and served the Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Moreover, he is dear to the Lord and has died in a holy place. Text 159. दुर्गति नहाया तारा सदगति से हाया प्रभु मांगी यही पाचे जानी ब निश्चया. Translation: Haridas cannot have been degraded. He must have attained liberation. This is a passing of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You will all understand it later. Text 160. Prayagaha ite ke eka Vaishnava Navadvipa Ayila Haridasa Sera Varta Tenho Sabare Kahila. Translation: A devotee returned to Navadvipa from Prayaga and told everyone the details of Junior Haridasa's suicide. Haripur. Thank you, Mataji. Pranam.
Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So the devotees start guessing that what could have happened, and some say that he would have committed suicide by drinking poison, and that's why he would have become a Brahmana ghost. And because committing suicide, they say that this is a sinful act, and so he must have become a Brahmana ghost. We cannot see him, but we hear his singing, so that's why they're guessing that he must have become a ghost. But Swarup Damodar Goswami says that he chanted Hare Krishna mantra throughout his entire life, served Mahaprabhu, and he's very dear to the Lord. Plus, he died in a holy place, so he could not have become a ghost. And he could not have become degraded because becoming a ghost is a degraded life. So, a degraded kind of a form. So, he says that he must have attained liberation. And Swarup Damodar Goswami correctly understands that this is a pastime of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You will all understand it later. And then a devotee from Prayag comes and tells everyone in Navdvip that Junior Haridas had committed suicide. Okay. So now let's read the next section, 161 onwards. Yeah, Uma Devi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yaiche sankalpa yaiche triveni praveshila suni Srivasadi Mane Vismaya Haila. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. He explained how Junior Haridasa had made his resolution and had thus entered the waters at the confluence of the Yamuna and Ganges. Hearing these details, Srivasa Thakura and the other devotees were very surprised. 162. Varsantare Shivananda Sabha Bhakta Laya Prabhu Remi Lala Asi Anandita Haya. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. At the end of the year, Shivananda Sena came to Jagannath Puri as usual, accompanied by the other devotees, and thus in great happiness met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 163. Haridasa Kana Yadi Srivasa Puchila Swakarma Phala Bhukpuman Prabhu Uttara Dila. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When Srivasa Thakura inquired from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where is Junior Haridasa? The Lord replied, a person is sure to achieve the results of his fruitive activities. 164. Tabe Srivasa Tara Pratanta Kahila Yeche Sankalpa Yeche Tribeni Pravesila. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Then Srivasa Thakura related the details of Haridasa's decision and his entering the waters at the confluence of Ganges and Yamuna. 165. Suni Prabhu hasi kahe suprasanna chitta prakriti darshana kele hi prayaschitta. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard these details, he smiled in a pleased mood and said, if with sensual intentions one looks at woman, this is the only process of atonement. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. So the devotee from Prayag comes and informs everyone that Junior Haridas had committed suicide. And he explained how Junior Haridas had made his resolution and thus entered the waters at the Triveni. And hearing this, Srivas Thakur and other devotees are very surprised. Then Shivananda Sain, we know, right? He used to come with the devotees from Bengal and used to come meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he came to Jagannath Puri as usual, accompanied by the other devotees, and thus in great happiness he meets Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when Srivas Thakur inquired from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that where is Junior Haridas, the Lord, what does he say? He says that a person is sure to achieve the results of his fruitive activities. So that means if someone has made a mistake, they are bound to get the result for that. Now, this is the teaching for everyone else. And then Srivas Thakur related the details of Haridas's decision and his entering the waters at the Triveni. And when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard these details, he smiled in a pleased mood and said, if with sensual intentions one looks at a woman, this is the only process of atonement. So, Mahaprabhu is giving this lesson for everyone who in the future probably, would think of these principles or these regulative principles. They don't take it very seriously. Some may not take it very seriously. And this is the learning that Mahaprabhu is giving, that if someone has the sensual intentions towards a woman, then the process of atonement for them is only to end their life. So it is such a big offense. Now hearing these this narration, we may get this feeling again and again that, oh, it seems a little unfair, it seems a little drastic. Why was he punished, and to such a big extent, even though his act was not so grave. But again, we have to remind ourselves that Mahaprabhu and Lord Krishna, they use their very close associates to enact a pastime which will be a lesson for the future generations. Very big example in this regard is that of Bhishma Dev. Now, Bhishma Dev is a very close associate of Lord Krishna. He is one of the 12 Mahajanas. He is such a pure devotee. But in this whole Kaurav, Pandav pastime, he is on the side of the Kauravas. Even though if we see in skill, in his abilities, he was much more skilled than the Pandavas. He was their Bhishma Pitama. He was very, very skilled. He could have defeated the entire army of Pandavas himself, but still he loses. He's on the losing side because Krishna wants to set this example that no matter how strong or able you are, if you are on the side of adharma, you will lose. So he was on the side that was opposite to Krishna's side, and that side will definitely lose. Now, when we hear of this pastime of Bhishma Dev, also we may feel that, oh, he's such a big devotee, such a pure devotee. Why was he favoring the Kauravas? Why was he on their side? Externally, he gives this reason that I have taken a vow to serve the throne of Hastinapur, so I have to serve whoever is ruling. But that is just the external reason. The internal reason that the devotees and acharyas explain is he is playing this part which Krishna wants him to play to set this example for the future generations that only dharma will ultimately win. People who are on the side of Krishna, they will actually win. But we see that, okay, Bhishma Dev enacts his whole pastime and then he's hit by these arrows and he's on this bed of arrows, lying on the bed of arrows. Then Krishna, he has asked him to play this part. Bhishma Dev has played that part very nicely. But how does Krishna reciprocate with such a beautiful devotee, with such wonderful devotion? When Bhishma Dev is about to leave his body, Krishna comes. He is present in front of Bhishma Dev. When Bhishma Dev needs him the most, Krishna is right there in front of him. So we see that yes, the devotees play this part, but the Lord is Bhakta Vatsala. He is there with the devotee when the devotee needs him the most. Okay, so let's go forward.
Hare Krishna Mataji, one small doubt. Mataji,
Yes,
what is
Mataji.
atonement, Mataji?
Atonement is prayashchit, Mataji, making,
Okay.
undergoing some difficulty
Prayashchita.
or,
For the sake
yeah,
we have done.
prayashchit.
Okay, okay,
Prayashchit.
thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Lalita Vinodini Mataji, to read 166.
स्वरूपादि मिलित बे विचार करिला त्रिवेणी प्रभावे हरी दासा प्रभु पद पाइला. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Then all the devotees headed by Swarupa Damodara Goswami concluded that because Haridasa had committed suicide at the confluence of the rivers Ganges and Yamuna, he must have ultimately attained shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Purport by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakura remarks that after one adopts the renounce order and accepts the dress of either a sannyasi or a Babaji, if he entertains the idea of sense gratification, especially in relationship with a woman, the only atonement is to commit suicide at the confluence of the Ganges and Yamuna. Only by such atonement can his sinful life be purified. If such a person is thus punished, it is possible for him to attain the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Without such punishment, however, the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very difficult to regain. Shall I continue reading, Mataji? Yes, Hare Krishna. यही माता लैला करे सचिर नंदना यहाँ सुनी भक्त जनेरा युदय कर्णमाना. Translation by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the son of Mother Shachi, performs his pastimes, which greatly satisfy the ears and minds of pure devotees who hear about them. अपना कारुण्य लोके वैराग्य शिक्षण स्वभक्तेरागद अनुरागा Prakatikkarana. Translation by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This incident manifests the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His teachings that a sannyasi should remain in the renounced order and a deep attachment to him felt by his faithful devotees. तेरा महिमा निज भक्ते आत्मसात एक लीलाय करेना प्रभुरा करिया पंच साथ. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It also demonstrates the glories of holy places and shows how the Lord accepts his faithful devotee. Thus, the Lord fulfilled 5 or 7 purposes by performing one pastime. मधुर चैतन्य लीला समुद्र गंभीरा लोके नाही भूचे भूचे यही भक्त धीरा. Translation by His Divine Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are like nectar and they are deep like the ocean. People in general cannot understand them, but a sober devotee can. Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Haribol. So in this section, we are reading that, what is the understanding. Now the other devotees are also understanding that what actually would have happened. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu obviously has said that what is the process of attainment for someone who has looked at a woman with sensual intentions. So Mahaprabhu makes this very clear. And then all the devotees headed by Sarup Damodar Goswami, they understand and conclude that because he had committed suicide at the Triveni, ultimately he would have received shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, Prabhupada is explaining in the purport that Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur has remarked that when one has taken the sannyas order and he accepts the dress of a sannyasi or a Babaji, they have to give up this idea of sense gratification completely. So that sannyasi base should be taken only when one is completely free from these sense gratificatory ideas, especially enjoying with a woman. But someone who is in this vesh of a sannyasi or a babaji, and yet they have thought of this idea of sense gratification with a woman especially, then they have to commit suicide at the confluence of Ganga and Yamuna, that is a Triveni. That is the process of atonement for them. Only if they do this, take this process of atonement, can their sinful life be purified. If such a person is thus punished, if they are punished in this way, then there is a possibility of attaining the shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. But without such punishment, they cannot regain the shelter of Lord Chaitanya. So this is what the devotees understand and conclude. And it is mentioned later that in this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sachimata's son, he performs his pastimes, which greatly satisfy the ears and minds of pure devotees who hear them. Now, this action of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even though it appears harsh, it actually manifests the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his teaching that a sannyasi should remain in the renounced order, and the deep attachment to him felt by his faithful devotees. So, Mahaprabhu is establishing this principle for the benefit of all others in the future, so that nobody takes the sannyas order very cheaply. Because the senses are very, very strong. And if one may think that, okay, what is the problem in just talking to a woman? Even if I am a sannyasi, what is the problem? Or a Babaji, what is the problem in just having a casual conversation? But the senses are so strong that they can just take a person completely away from the path on which they are headed. And if they fall down, then that is the harm that is happening to the soul, right? So Mahaprabhu, like the loving father, loving mother, he is giving this lesson so that devotees are very strict in following these principles and they don't fall down from their position. And it also demonstrates the glories of the holy places and shows how the Lord accepts his faithful devotee. So even though he had this whole pastime was enacted, Junior Haridas commits suicide, all those things happened, but he did ultimately attain shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. That is the aim, right? Ultimately, to get the shelter of Lord Chaitanya, and he attained this highest position. And it is mentioned that the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are like nectar and they are deep like the ocean. People in general cannot understand them, but a sober devotee can. So, externally, even though it appears very harsh, but it has a very deep lesson and Mahaprabhu's mercy embedded in it. Okay. Yeah. So, Karpagavali Mataji, you can read the next two verses, 171 and 172.
Yes, Madanji. Thank you, Madanji.
Right.
Text 171. Viswasakariya suna Chaitanyaga charita Tarka nakariha Tarke habibi parita. Translation with Prabhupada Kiji. Please hear the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with faith and confidence. Do not argue, for arguments will produce contrary result. Text 172. Siruparagunada Padeyara Asa Chaitanya Charitamita Kahe Krishna Dasa. Translation with Prabhupada. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunatha, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadasa, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. For summarizing this chapter, Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura says that one should derive from it the following lessons. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is an incarnation of mercy, he nevertheless gave up the company of one of his personal associates, namely Junior Haridasa. For if he had not done so, pseudo devotees would have taken advantage of Junior Haridasa's fault by using it as an excuse to live as devotees and at the same time have illicit sexual connections. Such activities would have demoralized the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and as a result, devotees would surely have gone to a hellish life in the name of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Second, by chastising Junior Haritasa, the Lord set the standard for acharyas or the heads of institutions propagating the Chaitanya cult and for all actual devotees. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to maintain the highest standard. 3. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed a pure devotee should be simple and free from sinful activities, for thus one can be his bona fide servant. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught his followers how to observe the renounced order strictly. 4. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to prove that his devotees are exalted and that their character is ideal. He kindly accepts his faithful devotees and teaches them how much tribulation and disturbance can be produced by even a slight deviation from the strict principles of devotional life. 5. By chastising Junior Haritasa, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his mercy towards him, thus showing how elevated was Junior Haridasa's devotion for him. Because of this transcendental relationship, the Lord corrected even a slight offense committed by his pure devotee. Therefore, one who wants to be a pure devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should give up all material sense gratification. Otherwise, the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are very difficult to attain. 6. If one dies in such a celebrated holy place as Prayaga, Madura, or Vrindavana, one can be relieved of the reactions of true sinful life and then attain the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. 7. Although a pure and faithful devotee may fall down, he nevertheless ultimately gets a chance to go back home, back to Godhead by the mercy of the Lord. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purpose to Chaitanya Chandamrita Antya Lila, second chapter, describing the chastisement of Junior Haridas. Thank you, Mataji.
Krishna, thank you, Mataji. So, we have to understand that when we are hearing these pastimes of Lord Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, we have to hear them without this kind of argument and without questioning everything, because we have to understand that our senses are very limited. With these limited senses, we cannot really understand the glories of the Supreme Lord, and that is why Prabhupada, through his purports, is helping us understand that we should not argue, we should not have arguments, because if we do that, then our understanding actually will not be in the right place. And in this last purport, Srila Prabhupada is summarizing, and he's stating what Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, that what is the learning for us? Okay, we heard the pastime and maybe we felt that it is a little unfair, but then we are trying to make some sense of it, that okay, no, this is why Mahaprabhu did it. And Prabhupada and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur are helping us understand that how we should read and understand this particular chapter. That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the most merciful. Nevertheless, if there is some deviation from the principles, what happened through, the example of Jure and Haridas, then Mahaprabhu does not excuse this. He is very, very strict that someone who is in the sannyas order should not have any kind of illicit connections with women. And through this example of Junior Haridas, he is giving this teaching. So such activities would have demoralized. So if Mahaprabhu had not done this, then people would have taken advantage of this incident and made illicit connections with women, and this would have demoralized the cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then the devotees would have, gone towards a hellish life. So Mahaprabhu corrected this at the very onset. Then, secondly, by chastising Junior Haridas, he has set the standard for acharyas or the heads of institutions. What is the very, very high standard that needs to be maintained? Then, thirdly, Mahaprabhu is instructed that a pure devotee should be simple and free from sinful activities, and then they can become a bona fide servant of Lord Chaitanya. So, he is teaching that how the renounced order should be followed very strictly. Then, fourth, he wanted to prove that his devotees are exalted and that their character is ideal. He kindly accepts his faithful devotees and teaches them how much tribulation and disturbances can be produced by even a slight deviation. So, this was a very slight deviation, but we see that the tribulation and disturbance it produced was big. So, that's why everyone has to be very, very careful about following the principles of devotional service. And he's also showing that Junior Haridas, he chastises him. Then Junior Haridas's reaction shows his deep devotion to Lord Chaitanya. And Lord corrected even a slight offense committed by his pure devotee. Therefore, one who wants to be a pure devotee of Lord Chaitanya should give up all material sense gratification. Otherwise, the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya are very difficult to obtain. So, we should not take bhakti cheaply. That is the very big learning that we have to take. If we have been given these principles that we have to follow, we should be very, very strict in following them. Then the sixth learning is the glory of the places, holy places like Prayag, Mathura, Vrindavan. Who leaves their body there, they attain the shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. And the seventh is that although a pure devotee may fall down, they may have an accidental fall down, but they ultimately get a chance to go back to Krishna. They get the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Name Bhaktya Pranashyati. My devotee never perishes. So we see through this whole enactment of this pastime that yes, there is something that there is a slight deviation on the part of Junior Haridas, And then it appears that Mahaprabhu is acting very harshly, but that is coming from his love, his concern that even a slight problem should be corrected at the very onset, and people in the future should not take this as an example and commit any kind of illicit activities which would cause their fall down. So through this whole pastime, we see that how strictly we need to be in following our principles, and then how merciful is the Lord that through his devotees he sets this example for the benefit of everyone. And even if there is a certain accidental fall down on the part of a devotee, they still get a chance to go back to Krishna to attain the shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So, like Junior Haridas, he does get the shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. It's not like Mahaprabhu just, banished him and never had anything to do with him. It's not like that. In his spiritual body, he comes to Mahaprabhu, he sings for Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu accepts that service and gives him the shelter of his lotus feet. So we have to see this pastime in its totality, not just one thing here and there, and then we may misunderstand. So we have to see the whole thing and understand that it is only Mahaprabhu's mercy that this whole thing was enacted for the learning of everyone. And Junior Haridas ultimately attains the shelter of Lord Chaitanya. Okay. So we'll stop here. If there are any questions or any comments.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Very nice planning, Mataji. In time we finished.
Yeah, Mataji, by Lord Chaitanya's mercy. Yeah, I was actually thinking because it goes in a flow, so I didn't want to break that flow.
That's what, it's correct time now.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Mataji, when we read this before, but we read it to ourselves, we did not understand the actual intention of the Mahaprabhu. But now it is very clear after you have explained that, Mataji, because we didn't understand. Mahaprabhu is so strict towards Chota Haridas. We didn't understand the actual intention of the Lord when we read
Yeah,
it.
Mataji. That's why Prabhupada is quoting Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's explanation also. No, he's giving 7 points so that we understand that this is not something very harsh. This is actually love of Mahaprabhu. Yeah, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
He is very karunamayi, Mataji.
Yes,
Dayamayi.
Very, 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 very merciful. And so is our Prabhupada. Prabhupada is helping us understand. He knows that we'll have difficulty in understanding, so he makes it easy for us. Okay, so thank you.
Mataji, in the spiritual world, this Lord Radha Krishna and Lord Chaitanya, like in Gauranitai, their abodes are separate, different?
Yes, Mataji. There are separate planets. Lord Chaitanya has a separate. They're all part of Golok Vrindavan only, but different planets.
So what is the seva they do when they go to Gauranitai? Or Kirtan and all that? Kirtan.
Yeah, yes.
Japa, chanting and Kirtan.
Yes, Kirtan and Harikatha. I have heard that, Gadadhar Pandit gives Bhagavatam class there. And it goes on for hours and hours and hours. Yes, that's what I've heard some devotees tell.
Oh, Haridas Thakur?
Gadadhar Pandit gives Bhagavatam class.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
He's an incarnation of
Gadadhar Pandit is Radharani.
Gadadhar, yeah, Radharani, yes. So many names, have to keep remembering.
Yes, Mataji. Okay, so thank you all. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow. Vancha kalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhubhya vacha patitanam Vaishnavebhyo namo namah Anantkoti Vaishnavrin ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrit ki jai. Shri Krishna Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. Shri
Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Very interesting. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.